Hey, everybody, welcome to the Summer and
Cynthia show. Hello, people. Hi,
we are so happy we're back here with you because we just like to talk. Like I said in my Facebook message, I miss the chit chat.
We do. And that's why we are here for you guys. In whatever capacity you need, Cynthia and I, we are here for you.
We
And
are.
we always have something brewing in the kitchen. Cynthia, what do we have for today?
Well, so, we end up talking midweek to talk about what we're going to talk about because that's how much we like to talk. and and different backgrounds, different lives, different generations, so much. You would think, what do these two possibly have in common? You know what? We both did StrengthsFinder, which, if you know me, you know how much I love to talk about StrengthsFinder. So I think we're looking forward to having this conversation because we find it to be such an insightful tool. And we're going to explain to you what it all is in the event that you don't know what it is. It's a tool for you to find out more about yourself. So Summer did hers. I've done mine. We're going to share a little bit of that. We're just going to roll with it. So Summer, when did you first do your StrengthsFinder
I did.
analysis, I guess?
Sure, absolutely. It was a little bit after college, so in '05. And initially, I wasn't serious about it. I mean, you go through the motions and just to check it off that I participated. In fact, it wasn't a lot of internalizing at all. I don't even remember what my initial five were. However, during this conversation of posing this as a topic, and just now, I think it's an appropriate time. A lot of people have done some soul searching, reassessing, reevaluating. It's that time of year in terms of getting ready to kick off a new year. But it was important to look within and see where I lie. So that was definitely the motivating factor of wanting to, now that I'm mature and can appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good for you. Well, we're going to hear a little bit more about what your top 5 strengths are. Once, I think people get a better understanding of how important this tool can be for personal growth, development, your professional development, and kind of where you are in the groups of people who you interact with. And this even includes family, because I had everybody in my family do StrengthsFinder because I just felt like I needed to know who they were. Okay, so here's the backstory of the Gallup organization and how it is that StrengthsFinder came to be. And I know this because back at the turn of the century, that sounds so long ago, I worked at a hospital and it was a union hospital, and our nurses went on strike for 23 days. And they were striking for a lot of different reasons. As a workplace, though, it requires you to really understand what the source of the unhappiness is and the decision-making processes and the culture. And so we embarked on a process following the strike where we tried to begin figuring out how to change the culture. And in healthcare, because everything is so oriented toward the patient and toward protocols and safety and everything else, there's not a lot of room elsewhere for culture. There's not a lot of money left over at the end of the reimbursement process for there to be culture, but people make a culture. So we did an employee engagement survey, a campaign that went many, many years to try to instill in the culture an understanding of how important employees are and how they feel about their work. Because if you don't feel good doing your work, you're not going to do a good job. A couple of different big tools and consulting firms that administered these tools. And one was the Gallup organization. They created a survey of sorts, and the survey contained, somewhere between 60 and 70 questions. One of the questions was, well, there was a fun one. Do you have a best friend at work? Because that is really important to how you do your job. Another one was, how many times in a week do you get to do what you do best? Well, for the baby boom, which basically was, bullied by its parents, by our parents to get a job. It doesn't really matter what the job is, so long as they pay you, and so long as you work really hard because somebody else probably wants that job. Get a job.
Yeah.
And that's how far many people took their seriousness with their own career planning. And if you were the first in your family to attend college, that sort of had a bearing on it. You had 4 years to sort of figure out what that was, but in many cases you didn't. So So what they realized is that hardly anybody could answer that question because they didn't really know what it is that they did best, which is a confession in and of itself. So then it sent all of those industrial and organizational psychology people back to the drawing board to create a whole new set of questions about what it is that helps us understand what we do best. And out of that, voila, comes StrengthsFinder. And so so it's this tool. You go online to StrengthsFinder 2.0. The link is going to be in the show notes. And you pay your $20 to find out your top 5. There's a good reason why you only want to know your top 5. But the inherent psychology behind it is if you understand who it is that you are, these strengths that are part of your innate character, it supersedes the things that you can do. Yes, I know I'm a whiz at Excel. That doesn't matter. If you have the analytical sense that kind of functions hand in glove with Excel, then you are well equipped to do certain things. If you are an analytical person and analytics is in your StrengthsFinder, maybe you don't belong on the sales team. And if you feel like you've not belonged on the sales team for a long time,
here's why.
That might be why. And I say that because Summer is a woo, and woo is one of these 34 strengths that gets sussed out after you take all these, answer all these questions. And it's a timed test, and you pay your $20, and then you find out these 5 things that you are. And the wooers belong on every sales team. You grab onto a wooer if you're going to a networking event when they come back, when we can all be with each other without a mask on.
Party's here.
And you say, I'm with you, because Summer will strike up a conversation with anybody and not feel in any way awkward or anything. She's always got a line. And there are certain things she wants out of that conversation because that's just who she is and how she functions. And so StrengthsFinder 2.0 is this thing that can help you better understand. And it all makes sense. You look at these and you go, that is exactly me. How did they figure this out? I'm not to know why. I'm just simply here to say, do it.
Thank you for such a great background on this assessment. And I mean, you did it beautifully. And just to kind of echo that last point of knowing why it's good to do it, I think often, for me, I think it'll be maybe every 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because naturally we should be evolving as people. And of course, once I took it for this preparation for today's conversation, I've been telling friends about it. And for the reason you stated in your explanation about wanting to know people, I think it's great that you have your family taking it. It's just about knowing how to deal with people. If I know where you're coming from in terms of what your strong suits are, personality type, if you will, you can effectively communicate and coexist and work together. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I'm excited about today.
And the other thing is that it helps you if you are in charge of leading a team or you've got to assemble a team, understanding all of these different strengths, because there's 34 to choose from. Well, if you have 34 colors and you want a very well-rounded color wheel, wow, that's just came out of nowhere. You want to make sure that you aren't lining everybody up with the same strengths, because that becomes an alpha test. Somebody wants to battle to be the very top of that. You want to make sure that you have all your sides covered. All the corners are covered. So you want somebody who's empathic or empathetic. I can't even remember what the thing is. You want the people who are the learners and the input people. And those are people who consume information just with a rabid appetite. And if you know those people, you appreciate them, but you've never quite appreciated them in that way. And if you've got a job to do, you definitely want somebody who's got that on the team. So it's really been an understanding of where my family is, and I'm just going to use them as an example, where we are all the same. Why it is that we don't even have to explain things anymore, because we all are wired that way. Well, are we wired that way because we spent all this time together? I don't know, but that's the case. Then there are these outlier, these things where my daughter is this 1 or 2 of these strengths and none of the rest of us are. Well, that helps us understand, and it helps us meet her where she is her strongest and let her shine.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, insightful tool, and we highly encourage you to take the assessment. And then once you do, it could be as simple as passing it out to your friends and to your family, people that you
Yep.
coexist with and talk to on a regular basis. It's just a deeper level of understanding one another.
If you are on LinkedIn and you happen to encounter somebody's profile and their profile, the very top, doesn't have their title, it has 5 words. Those are their StrengthsFinder words. And they're saying up front, first of all, I value this tool and here's who I am. There have been tens of millions of people who have taken this. And by doing that, it is 2 things. Number one, you understand that it is prevalent in largely in the corporate world or in the organizational world and in the world, and that it's also that valued, that if 60 million people or 50 million people have taken this, they have that much data that has now kind of built in to let you know that it's not just one of those things that pops up on Facebook of which Disney princess are you?
Right. Our BuzzFeed quiz.
Right.
My folks know what that is.
So your 5, tell me, Summer, what did this most recent taking of StrengthsFinders share to you?
And in order, I will go positivity, maximizer, connectedness, woo, and communication. None of these were surprising. It made so much sense. It was the aha, eureka moment. That's what that looks like. That's what that is packaged together and well articulated for me to identify with. From a positivity standpoint, it's not so much woo woo all the time. Nothing ever happens bad, but it's more of keeping your eye on a prize in a moment. And even now in these chaotic times, looking for those silver linings and helping others also see that, but not negating the real issues that a person may be facing or that I'm facing. It's not denial by any means, but it is, keeping your eye on the prize and being as positive and focused as you can be is a snippet of what that particular strength was. If there, I'm gonna deviate and say if there was one that was, no, there wasn't one that was surprising. I'm not even gonna lie. At first I was like, was there one that was surprising? No. How about you, Cynthia?
The part about receiving your report is that you get the 7 pages of information from the Gallup, the StrengthsFinder people, and it articulates a little bit more about what the component of the strength is and how often it manifests in somebody. And sometimes it talks about how other strengths go along with it and
Right.
what the antithesis is, who is out there who is sort of your exact opposite. Sometimes that actually applies because what we're doing right now is we're communicating. And
Sure.
I've never tested as a communicator or as communication is one of my strengths. What is the core definition of that as it relates to StrengthsFinder?
Back to positivity, starting with number 1. The main correlating theme is relationship building. We tend to bring enthusiasm to people, groups, and organizations. We can inspire others to be more productive and hopeful, and we tend to have an infectious energy and enthusiasm. And you tend to offer your joy on purpose. And I quite honestly
That's you.
felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
And what's the communication theme?
The communication theme is influencing. So, coming from a sales world, that's obviously important. They turn thoughts and actions into stories, images, examples, metaphors. I'm always refining and honing the skill of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Practice your words and learn what resonates with others. Goes back to our Toastmasters episode. Check that out, people. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. It's probably, as I've said to so many friends, and I do, I pretty much bully my friends into taking StrengthsFinder, or I will buy it for them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll buy it. It's the same
That's
as
a
buying
great
you a nice
holiday
glass of
gift.
wine,
That's a great holiday gift.
Yes, it is a great holiday gift for everybody in your circle so that you can better understand them. So Summer offered up her top 5, and she actually took a different tool that gives her a ranking of all of her strengths. I can't do that because that's too much information for me to want to know about myself. So my top 5: strategist, maximizer, and you and I are the same on we share maximizer, arranger, which is new, and that is unarranger, ARRANGER. Not that I'm a ranger, although the hat, an achiever, and that has been with me the whole time. And then a new one is is individuation.
Mm.
And so it was 8 years from the time that I first took the tool until recently, because I didn't take it, coming out of the employee engagement stuff and the whole Gallup organization, I didn't really need to have that information. And then I got my master's and took it first and then took it again. And along the way, I've had lots of big life changes and challenges and opportunities to grow. And so the growth that's reflected is losing competitive, which was fine with me, because there just gets to a point in life where your competitive drive has changed because perhaps your priorities have changed or your opportunities. You've seen things. So individuation is new, and that's just the whole idea of really where we are as a society today, valuing the individual and the individual experience and tailoring some of what it is we're trying to say to that individual versus the way that the baby boom was raised, which was, here's how it's going to be. And if you want to take that to a societal level, here's how it's going to be, and it's going to be filled with white people, and it's going to be filled mostly with men.
Yeah.
And I know that I have changed as a result of certainly the last 4 years. My top one being strategist is that I'm always sort of trying to find information, and I'm not going off of the Gallup or the StrengthsFinder definition, but rather always using intelligence to sort of steer a couple paces ahead to keep everything flowing in a way that is, it was nicely compatible with competitive. But now my maximizer is the team builder. It is, we think about who it is that we're surrounding ourselves with so that we are bringing the best team we possibly can to the field to reach the goal. Yeah. So lots of things to talk about. Here's I guess the reason why it's a great holiday gift this year. First of all, you can do it all online, so you don't have to go buy it. But secondly, gosh darn it, when you think about the people in your world who either are feeling really low about themselves, they're in a change situation by virtue of where we are with the economy. Maybe politics are such that you feel like, I don't know that I have a lot in common with this person. How am I ever going to build that bridge back? Here is a chance. Here's a chance to invest in somebody to say, yes, you're worth it. You need to better understand who you are. Yes. And what you bring. Yes. That's the only, if we have to keep focusing on the future and how it is that we all are a part of the answer for the future.
Of course. And I think it's super important to know yourself before you can effectively help bring about change in others. So once we start with understanding where we are and what our strengths are and things that we can perhaps focus in on, it's more productive to go outward and help others do the same. I want to say again, thank you for bringing this up because it truly is rewarding. I'm enjoying uncovering more and more about myself through this exercise. And because I'm so fascinated with the journey, I naturally want to share with everybody in my life. That way we all understand each other unconditionally, It's just super cool. It's super cool.
It is super cool. You find out more about yourself. You feel better about yourself. And I tell you, the other part about it is that as you find out what your strengths are, you also start to understand how those strengths can actually be detrimental. Yeah. Because you feel it's like it's that strongest muscle that you have to rely on. So it's a great gift, certainly for the holidays, for somebody's birthday. As corny as it all seems, the message that you're telling somebody is that I believe in you.
Correct. I care about you.
I care about you. A graduation, probably not high school, but college graduation, if they haven't done it through their college career centers. And certainly all of higher ed uses this. They really want people to understand what where they're coming out of.
And actually, I think it is a good high school graduation gift. Seniors, you may not be going straight to academia again afterwards. So it's a great, once you've done the primary education, also it's a good indicator. But again, I also think it's important to take it in the future.
Yeah.
For me, I think the good benchmark is every 5 years, possibly. I think the perfectionist in me would say every year, but that's not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people who are kind of, well, and you can become a licensed facilitator of it, and I have certainly facilitated a lot of conversations where by the definition of facilitating a StrengthsFinder conversation is getting everybody to take it, putting
Yeah.
forth the grid of how diverse this group is,
Yeah.
and then leading them and then shutting up about, well, what's missing here? And if we are missing some strengths, how important is it that those actually get brought forward? So lots of opportunity to
Yes.
talk about stuff. Also, I think if you're in the middle of a career change or a retirement, and you're kind of trying to think about what the future is going to hold,
Yes.
what better way to start than to start understanding who's inside you, and what are the gifts and the true strengths that have been born out of your life experience. So
Yes. This was a good episode.
I
I
love this.
I hope
All
you feel
right.
compelled to go check it out.
Yep, check out the show notes, because we have the links to StrengthsFinder, and we'll even put what our strengths are, just so that you can kind of get a better feel for who we are.
Absolutely. It explains the madness.
Totally.
Well, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you truly love us, share. Sharing is caring. Feel free to tell all the people in your life who we are, and we welcome you back as always. But until then, go find your strength finders, be kind, wash your hands, wear a mask. Peace and
Peace
love.
out.